For nearly 2 years now, our Perform Arts series, in conjunction with KC Studio Magazine, has taken us all over town to share stories about some of the Metro's best music, theater, dance, even puppeteers.
Well, this time we're headed to 18th and Vine and the American Jazz Museum, but wait a minute, you might say, that's not a performing arts venue, is it?
Well, not exactly, but while there is obviously a whole lot about the music's past you can discover at the museum, it's also a place that puts a lot of energy into celebrating its present. It's all about this.
The mission here at the American Jazz Museum is to celebrate and exhibit jazz through 4 pillars, through performance, through exhibitions, through education and research at America's Jazz Crossroads, 18th and Vine. It's a really great place that sort of wraps under its umbrella 4 really important areas.
Greg Carroll, professional musician, and Greg Carroll, arts administrator, both keep the tools of their trade close at hand at the Jazz Museum's upstairs offices. The patience and persistence it takes to master the vibraphone has a lot in common, he says, with the skills required to keep an operation like this relevant and engaging.
We've had a great time in trying to determine, okay, how do we use this space? You know, what do we want people to see? We want people to know about the Kansas City narrative. We think that's important. We want people to know about the greater jazz narrative. We want people to see the visual art pieces in multi-dimensions, you know, sculptures. We want people to see abstract so they can get inside the music from an abstract perspective. We want them to see moving things.
Movement has come to the museum recently in a very big way, thanks to a jazz fan from Ohio named John Baker. He collected over 1 million feet of, you guessed it,
jazz film.
So far, only the tip of the iceberg has been restored and displayed, but the impact of these iconic images is hard to deny.
You know, a lot of times you read about jazz or you may hear the music, but until you see it, you're not really positioned in that time. And so when you can see films as early as 1929, for example, Bessie Smith singing St. Louis Blues, you're in that space, you're in that time, so you can connect with what's happening socially at the time, what's happening musically, and how people are interfacing. And you can see how the music evolves as time goes by, where then you begin to see integration. You see musicians of color playing with white musicians. You see women playing instruments that are not the typical stereotype, where they're not just in vocal roles. You see instrumentalists. So you see how the history of the music is sort of evolving in front of the lens.
I gave you the story, you gave me the game.
You know, we have an opportunity in this space to inspire people to want to listen to the music. You might have someone that comes through this space, they may be a baseball fan, and their own destination might be to go to Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, which is another great asset. And they may see these photos and be inspired to say, I want to learn a little bit about this music. Let me go to the Blue Room tonight. And then that sparks this inspiration that, you know, maybe encourages them to go onto Amazon, download some CDs of jazz artists, and then eventually start buying tickets to concerts.
The Blue Room, the living lab within the museum complex, where live jazz and more pours from the stage over 200 nights a year.
And you know, the museum is committed not only to the music, but to the purveyors of the music. We employ over 1,200 jazz musicians every year. We spend upwards of $150,000 a year in supporting artist fees just through the Blue Room alone, not counting the work in the festival or the performing arts series, the Jammin' at the Gym series. That's another $100-some thousand. So the museum is committed to showcasing the music, and we have to be, because the artists, the musicians, are our living exhibitions. They allow us to bring to life what you see visually in this space. And so we have to provide that commitment. I think we have to provide the commitment because that's the way that you sustain the music into perpetuity.
I wonder what 10-story tone arched Bill Kennedy's body like a warrior's bow on his toes in the throes of battle.
The spoken word has found a happy home here, too. The Blue Room's Tuesday night poetry jams bring a lively mix of old and young, all ready to take their verbal turn at the mic.
I, too, think Dapper does capture such glamour that goes with Gordon. Jazz coursing through...
It's important as we develop education programs that we're not just myopic. We can't just develop music programs for music-minded kids. So the spoken word piece allows us to take another path in connecting people who might not be connected to music through it. And spoken word is also a very popular art form here in Kansas City, and so we've built here through the great work of Glenn North, who's our resident poet and manager. We've built, I think, a really strong education program in jazz poetry.
And when we land and catch our breath, we'll picnic by the Nile.
When it comes to building an audience, that old adage, you gotta grab them when they're young, is ever on Greg Carroll's mind. You can see it in action with their jazz storytelling program, filling the atrium with music and movement while teaching a few lessons along the way.
People think museum, meaning everything in it is created by people that are dead. I mean, that's kind of what people boil down to a museum, but really, that's why we say in our byline that American Jazz Museum, where it lives. Jazz just met its 100-year mark. So really, jazz is still in its evolutionary process, although, yeah, to the young folk or to folk who may be outside of the aesthetic, it seems old. But many derivatives of jazz are popular music that we listen to today, like hip-hop, like rock and roll, like gospel. Those are all forms that were born out of the jazz aesthetic. You can buy a jazz recording, but it's not the same as going and seeing and listening to a jazz performance. There's something so special about that that draws you more into the music. And because we're fortunate to have a beautiful space, in fact, it's award-winning space. It's, you know, Downbeat Magazine has said this is one of the 12 top jazz clubs in the world. That's a huge, huge vote of confidence in the jazz community. They said this is the place to be. I often tell people I wear 3 hearts. You know, the middle heart is the jazz artist, the musician. That middle heart is what drives the other two, the executive and the educator. I feel fortunate that I'm able to come and oversee an organization like this that has so many moving parts to it, but that also is really just when you boil it down, it's all about this. It's about the music, right? It's all it's about. And when you really boil it down, it's about how do we keep the legacy of jazz strong in Kansas City through this great incubator we have called the American Jazz Museum. It's a great gig.
A couple quick notes about the museum. The festival, formerly known as Rhythm and Ribs, will be back this year with a new name on Saturday, October 12th, now simply called Kansas City's 18th and Vine Jazz Festival.
The other is a big new exhibit coming from the Smithsonian called American Sabor, Latinos in Popular Music. It opens on August 1st.